Thin Red Line isn't just a war movie. It's a meditation on life, death, and the nature of humanity. But behind Terrence Malick's poetic masterpiece lies chaos, conflict, and stories Hollywood never wanted you to hear. Fact 1.
How many of them were hit this time?
None, sir.
None? Not one?
Before The Thin Red Line, Terrence Malick disappeared from Hollywood for 2 decades. After directing Badlands and Days of Heaven, he vanished completely. No one knew where he went or if he'd ever make another film. When he finally returned in 1998, the industry was stunned. His reappearance was treated like the return of a legend. Studios competed for his attention, and actors begged to work with him. He refused interviews, avoided cameras, and let his work speak for itself. Some called him a genius, others thought he'd lost his mind. Malick's silence made his coxswain back even more mysterious. Everyone wondered what kind of film he would make after 20 years away. The result wasn't just a war movie, it was a spiritual odyssey. It was unlike anything audiences expected. But if Malick's comeback was shocking, the way he handled his actors was even more unbelievable. Fact 2. The Thin Red Line featured one of the biggest casts in movie history. Sean Penn, George Clooney, John Travolta, Woody Harrelson, John Cusack, and Adrien Brody all signed on, ready for major roles. But when the movie was finished, most of them had barely any screen time. Some scenes were cut down to seconds. Adrien Brody thought he was the lead, only to discover at the premiere that almost all his lines were gone. Entire subplots vanished. Malick edited the film in total secrecy, caring only about the poetry of the images. Some actors were furious, others were in awe. What remained was hypnotic but unpredictable. It felt more like a dream than a story. Careers were built and crushed in the same film. But if the cuts surprised the actors, what happened behind the camera made things even more chaotic, because Malick's directing style was unlike anything Hollywood had ever seen. Fact 3.
They want you dead. Or in their lie.
On set, Malick rarely followed his own script. He would suddenly change camera angles, dialogue, or even the focus of entire scenes. Actors never knew when they were being filmed. Sometimes he shot hours of footage just for one fleeting moment of light. The crew joked that the real star of the movie was the sun. Malick wanted spontaneity, not acting, but life itself. He pushed everyone to find truth, not performance. It drove the studio insane. Some days the crew worked for hours without recording a single planned scene. Others were cut entirely because Malick lost interest mid-shot. But in that chaos, beauty emerged. His approach made the film feel raw and alive. It blurred the line between art and accident. No one else could have made it work. But while Malick chased sunlight and emotion, one actor's injury brought real pain onto the set, and it changed everything. Fact 4. During filming of a combat scene, Woody Harrelson accidentally injured himself. He was supposed to throw a grenade prop and take cover, but the timing went wrong, and the grenade went off too soon. The explosion ripped through his pants, leaving him slightly wounded, but very lucky. Harrelson later joked that it was the most terrifying acting he'd ever done. The incident shocked the crew and added tension to the already intense shoot. Malick refused to dramatize it further, but kept the raw emotion alive in the next takes. The moment reminded everyone that war, even recreated, is dangerous. It made the cast respect the soldiers they were portraying even more. Harrelson's calm reaction became legend among the team. No one expected the set to get that real, but while explosions were dangerous, the emotional battles happening off camera were even more explosive. Fact 5.
I can take anything you dish out. I'm twice the man you are.
Terrence Malick's creative freedom terrified the studio. He refused to deliver the movie on time or within budget. His first cut was over 5 hours long. Executives begged him to trim it down. Malick didn't care about box office expectations. He cared about beauty and truth. He saw The Thin Red Line as a philosophical experience, not a war blockbuster. The studio wanted a clear story. He gave them poetry. The fight over editing nearly killed the project. In the end, the version released was 170 minutes and still unlike anything else in theaters. Critics called it confusing but mesmerizing. The movie divided audiences, but it also earned 7 Oscar nominations. Malick had won the battle his own way. But as if that wasn't enough chaos, what happened to one of the film's lead roles shocked everyone. Because one of Hollywood's biggest stars was completely cut out of the final movie. Fact 6.
Be with me now.
Bill Pullman shot multiple scenes for The Thin Red Line, playing a major supporting character. He had weeks of footage, emotional dialogue, and powerful moments. But when Malick finished editing, Pullman was nowhere to be found. Every single frame of his performance had been removed. He didn't even know until he attended a screening and realized he wasn't in the film at all. Pullman wasn't alone. Mickey Rourke, Gary Oldman, and Martin Sheen also had roles that disappeared completely. Malick didn't warn them or explain why. He simply cut whatever disrupted his flow of emotion. To him, the movie wasn't about characters. It was about nature, time, and memory. The edits were brutal, but they created a strange, meditative rhythm. Actors called it beautiful heartbreak. Pullman's missing scenes became part of the film's mythology. And if you think being erased from a Hollywood epic was harsh, what Malick did to the film's editing process was pure madness. Fact 7. After filming ended, Malick vanished into the editing room for 2 full years. He reviewed hundreds of hours of footage, sometimes cutting scenes after watching them 100 times. Editors described his process as poetic chaos. He would spend days just watching the same shot of clouds or grass, searching for a feeling. Traditional storytelling meant nothing to him. He edited like a painter, shaping emotion instead of narrative. Studio executives grew desperate as months turned into years, but Malick refused to rush. He said the film needed to breathe on its own. The delay nearly bankrupted the studio. Yet when he finally emerged, he had created something haunting and unforgettable. It wasn't a war film anymore. It was a reflection on existence. But if Malick worked like a philosopher, one of his actors approached the project like a soldier, and his method acting took everyone by surprise. Fact 8.
Been in the Army, 6 years now? And about time you smartened up, stop being such a punk recruit.
Sean Penn approached The Thin Red Line with total intensity. He stayed in character even when the cameras weren't rolling. Penn spent days living with the soldiers, training and eating with them in the same harsh conditions. He demanded that the mud, the heat, and the exhaustion be real. Malick admired his dedication but often clashed with his energy. Penn's performance brought quiet power to the film, restrained yet deeply emotional. He called it one of the most spiritual roles of his career. Despite Malick's cryptic direction, Penn trusted the process. Their collaboration became one of the movie's anchors. He famously said, "Malick doesn't direct actors, he directs souls." His calm intensity grounded the film's abstract tone, and while Penn earned universal praise, another star's brief appearance would create one of the film's most unforgettable moments. Because George Clooney walked in, delivered one scene, and stole the spotlight. Fact 9.
I prefer to think of myself as a family man, and that's what we all are here, whether we like it or not.
George Clooney joined the project at the height of his ER fame. Fans expected a major role, but he appeared for less than a minute. His character, Captain Bosch, speaks just a few lines at the very end of the film. Yet that short scene left a lasting impression. Clooney's calm voice and haunted expression captured the movie's message of futility and loss. He later joked that he blinked and missed his own performance. Despite the brevity, critics praised his understated presence. Malick had used him as a symbol, a face of leadership overshadowed by tragedy. Clooney didn't mind. He said working with Malick was worth it for even 30 seconds. His cameo reminded audiences that every soldier, no matter how brief their story, mattered. But while Clooney made peace with his short role, another actor nearly didn't survive his, because one explosion went horribly wrong on set. Fact 10. During one intense battle scene, an explosion came dangerously close to the actors. The blast was supposed to be controlled, but it misfired. Crew members dove for cover as dirt and shrapnel flew through the air. One stunt performer was injured, though luckily not seriously. Malick, instead of panicking, quietly told the crew to check everyone and then rolled again. He wanted to capture the raw chaos that followed. The tension on set skyrocketed. From that moment on, everyone treated the explosions like real combat. The fear you see in the actors' eyes isn't fake, it's real adrenaline. Even the extras felt the danger. That moment gave the film its shocking realism. It blurred the line between performance and survival. But if the explosions were dangerous, what happened in post-production was even more explosive, because Malick's editing choices would forever change Hollywood's idea of what a war film could be. Fact 11. One of the film's most haunting elements is its sound design. Malick didn't just want explosions and gunfire. He wanted the voice of nature itself. Birds, insects, wind, and water all whisper through the soundtrack. Sometimes they even overpower the sound of battle. It creates the sense that nature is watching humanity destroy itself. The contrast is unsettling and beautiful. Sound designer Skip Lievsay said Malick treated every noise like a musical note. He mixed silence and chaos like a symphony. This approach made the film hypnotic, almost spiritual. You can hear the jungle breathe between gunshots. It turned violence into poetry. The result was one of the most unique soundscapes ever made for a war movie. But if sound brought life to the jungle, the visuals turned it into pure art, because the cinematography became legend. Fact 12. Shot by John Toll, The Thin Red Line became one of the most visually stunning war films in history. Every frame looks like a painting. Malick preferred natural light, chasing the perfect glow of dawn or dusk. Crews often waited hours for the sun to hit just right. Toll captured the beauty of nature and the brutality of war in the same frame. The contrast felt biblical. The camera moved gently through chaos, observing rather than judging. Critics called it war through the eyes of God. The visuals gave the film its meditative tone. No handheld grit, no frantic editing, just calm observation. Toll won an Oscar nomination for his work. The images linger long after the credits roll. But while the cinematography was serene, the editing room became a battlefield of its own, because the studio and Malick were locked in war over the final cut. Fact 13. Fox executives panicked when Malick's first cut ran over 5 hours. They demanded a shorter, more marketable film. Malick resisted every note they gave. Editors tried to compromise, trimming storylines without losing meaning. Arguments stretched for months. Malick believed the film should feel like memory, not plot. The studio wanted something they could actually sell. Eventually, Malick delivered a 170-minute version, still long, but coherent enough to release. Against expectations, critics hailed it as art. The studio's gamble paid off, but barely. It proved that patience could still produce greatness in Hollywood. Yet the experience left scars on everyone involved. After the chaos, Malick vanished again from public life. But before he disappeared, the film earned something no one predicted: a standing ovation from its fiercest rival, because even Steven Spielberg praised it as a masterpiece. Fact 14. When Saving Private Ryan and The Thin Red Line released in the same year, critics expected a rivalry. 2 World War II films, 2 visionary directors. It seemed like a showdown. But instead of competition, Spielberg offered admiration. After watching Malick's film, he called it spiritual poetry. He said it captured what war feels like between the gunfire, the stillness, the fear, the beauty. Coming from Spielberg, that was monumental praise. The media tried to spark conflict, but the directors respected each other deeply. Their films became twin reflections of the same horror. One showed the blood, the other showed the soul. Together, they redefined how cinema portrayed war. It was proof that art doesn't need rivalry to change history. But while the movie earned respect from Hollywood's elite, the most unexpected praise came from real soldiers who saw their own truth in Malick's vision. Fact 15. When veterans watched The Thin Red Line, many were moved to silence. They said it felt closer to war than any film they'd seen. Not in action, but in emotion. It captured the confusion, the waiting, and the strange calm between battles. Some wrote letters thanking Malick for portraying the inner world of soldiers instead of just explosions. Others admitted they couldn't finish it because it hit too close to home. The film's quiet despair mirrored their memories. Military historians praised its accuracy in small details, from gear to behavior. It wasn't about victory, it was about survival. That honesty earned deep respect. Even decades later, soldiers reference it as one of the most realistic depictions of combat psychology. The film became more than art. It became a mirror for those who lived it. And if real soldiers felt seen by it, the public would soon feel the same, because awards season turned this haunting film into Hollywood's unlikely hero. Fact 16. The Thin Red Line earned 7 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Cinematography. It went up against Saving Private Ryan, Life is Beautiful, and Shakespeare in Love. Many believed Malick's masterpiece would sweep the Oscars, but to everyone's shock, it didn't win a single one. Critics called it the greatest loser in Oscar history. Even without trophies, its impact was undeniable. The film influenced a generation of directors. Its poetic tone, haunting images, and reflective voiceovers became trademarks of modern cinema. Malick didn't attend the ceremony, staying true to his reclusive nature. For him, the art mattered more than the awards. Yet the mystery around his absence only fueled his legend. And while Hollywood couldn't give him gold, it gave him something far more powerful: myth. But Malick's myth would only grow stronger after the film ended, because he disappeared again, leaving everyone wondering where he went. Fact 17. After The Thin Red Line, Terrence Malick vanished from the public eye once more. No interviews, no appearances, no explanations. He retreated into solitude, just as he had before. Journalists tried to find him, but he refused to be found. Rumors spread that he was writing new scripts in secret. Others claimed he'd quit filmmaking forever. Years passed with no word. His cast and crew called him a ghost with a camera. For a decade, Malick existed only in stories, yet his silence made the film's impact grow even larger. Directors like Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve cited it as an influence. The movie became a sacred text for visual storytellers. And just when the world thought Malick was gone for good, he returned with The New World, proving that his voice, quiet, mysterious, and poetic, was still alive. But before that comeback, there was one element of The Thin Red Line that kept people talking, because its voiceovers became some of the most iconic in film history. Fact 18.
I wondered how it would be when I died. What it'd be like to know that this breath now was the last one you was ever going to draw.
The film's narration is one of its most distinctive features. Dozens of inner monologues drift over the images like memories. Sometimes you don't even know which character is speaking. Malick used the voiceovers to express thoughts too deep for dialogue. They sound like prayers, full of fear, hope, and regret. Each whisper explores the meaning of life and death. The words aren't explanations, they're emotions. Many were improvised or rewritten in editing. Actors didn't even know which lines would make it into the film. This technique made the movie feel timeless, like a dream you can't fully wake from. It inspired countless imitators in art films and war dramas. The voiceovers became Malick's signature. They turned chaos into poetry and silence into meaning. And if those whispers gave the film its soul, the location gave it its body, because filming in the jungles of Guadalcanal pushed everyone to the edge of exhaustion. Fact 19. Shooting in the Solomon Islands was brutal. The heat was suffocating, the terrain treacherous, and the insects relentless. Cast and crew worked in mud, rain, and swarms of mosquitoes. Equipment broke down constantly. Days would pass without power or dry clothes. Malick insisted on filming in real conditions to capture authenticity. Actors slept in tents and lived like soldiers. The hardship bonded them and broke some of them. The jungle became a living character in the movie. Its beauty was matched only by its hostility. Everyone who worked there said it changed them. You can feel that fatigue and awe in every frame. It's what gives the film its raw physical truth. But even after the jungle, the most powerful element wasn't nature or war. It was music, because the score by Hans Zimmer transformed the film into something eternal. Fact 20. Hans Zimmer's score for The Thin Red Line is often called one of the greatest ever composed. It's haunting, meditative, and heartbreakingly human. Zimmer abandoned his usual bold style for something softer, almost sacred. He used slow rhythms and subtle tones that blend seamlessly with Malick's imagery. The music doesn't tell you what to feel, it lets you feel everything. Tracks like Journey to the Line have been used in countless films and trailers since. Even directors like Ridley Scott and Christopher Nolan have cited it as inspiration. Zimmer said Malick told him, "Don't write music for the movie. Write music for the soul." The result is timeless, both devastating and transcendent. It's what turns the film from a war story into a prayer. Decades later, the music still echoes in cinema and memory alike. And if you thought you knew The Thin Red Line, these untold stories prove the real battle wasn't just on screen, it was behind it.